shortly, there will be no difference. You will not distinguish those who voted for Jubilee from those who voted for CORD, because Kenyans have a way of doing their thing.
The time has come to ask not who we voted for, but what future we are all devoted to.
I'm really sorry.
Naomba radhi hakika.
It was perceived as an improbable dream. It was later to become an improbable government. Against all odds, the Uhuru-Ruto marriage was ordained. But how did Uhuru and Ruto come together against the backdrop of the 2007 poll chaos that had been seen as a fallout between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin communities, which formed the bedrock of their respective support bases? How did Uhuru Kenyatta's name remain on the ballot paper despite alleged intelligence reports indicating that a Kikuyu candidate would be a hard sell, given that the country had so far had 2 Kikuyu presidents? How did the ICC, which was perceived as a handicap to the Uhuru-Ruto ticket, turn instead to be a fulcrum to their State House bid? Was the Uhuru-Ruto union circumstantial, or simply an inevitable Jubilee generation movement whose time had come? – 2007 marked one of the lowest moments in Kenya's political history. A fierce battle between the incumbent Mwai Kibaki of the Party of National Unity (PNU) and Raila Odinga of the Orange Democratic Movement produced a fiercely contested outcome.
Let us listen to you announcing like we have listened for all the others. Otherwise, we bring agents for verification for 210 constituencies.
Honorable Mwai Kibaki, 4,584,721. Honorable Raila Odinga, 4,352,993. This means Honorable Mwai Kibaki is the winner. The Commission therefore declares Honorable Mwai Kibaki as the President of Kenya.
December 30th, 2007.
Nitaihifadhi, nitailinda na kuitetea katiba ya Kenya.
As Mwai Kibaki was taking his oath of office for a second term at dusk,
Mwenyezi Mungu nisaidie.
Kenya was erupting on a scale not witnessed since independence, nearly 45 years earlier. The ensuing orgy of violence saw over 1,000 killed and thousands of others displaced, especially in the then Rift Valley region that was the epicenter of the mayhem. Although eventually a grand coalition government that brought together both President Mwai Kibaki and his political nemesis Raila Odinga was formed through mediation by former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan, this troubling chapter in the country's history revealed a sharp political and ethnic fault lines in Kenya.
50 years after independence, we have never learned to look at each other as compatriots, as Kenyans, as people with a shared heritage, as people with common concerns, hopes, fears, interests, and a common destiny. And that failure eventually will trickle down to former President Mwai Kibaki himself. It's going to be the biggest slur to his presidency. That in 2002, Kenyans crossed the valley of negative ethnicity. Unfortunately, Mzee Mwai Kibaki allowed a few people around him, forming themselves as what people have called the Mount Kenya Mafia, to throw overboard all the gains that we had realized from the moment Raila Odinga said, Kibaki tosha. We stopped thinking along tribal lines.
A key outcome of the Kofi Annan-led peace talks was to investigate and punish the masterminds of the poll chaos. This saw a commission led by Justice Philip Waki to conduct the exercise. The commission came up with a final report that was submitted to President Mwai Kibaki. A secret envelope containing a list of individuals accused of bearing the greatest responsibility for the post-poll chaos was handed over to Kofi Annan. And as it was to turn out later, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were among those adjudged by the commission to have borne the greatest responsibility for the post-poll chaos. When the then ICC prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo unveiled the list of the suspects, it was received with shock and disbelief. And the question then was, can these two ICC suspects run for the presidency, especially after the ICC pre-trial chamber confirmed that they had a case to answer?
You know, Kenya is a nation of the improbable, as you may say. If you go down the memory lane, in 2002, many did not expect the people from Nyanza to vote for Kibaki. They voted for Kibaki almost to the man. In 2007, many did not believe that the people from Rift Valley would vote for Raila. They voted for Raila almost to the man. In 2013, many did not believe that the people from Rift Valley would vote for Uhuru Kenyatta. They voted to the man. The Kenyans have a way of doing their thing. Sometimes it's improbable, but they have a way of making it happen.
The then Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka meanwhile led a spirited attempt by government officials around the world to push for the deferral of the Kenyan cases. At the time, Musyoka claimed his efforts were not aimed at shielding the two top politicians, but protecting the sovereignty of Kenya. These attempts, that were later to be referred to as shadow diplomacy, however failed to yield the desired results. Meanwhile, as the elections that were initially planned for December 2012 drew nearer, Western powers, especially the United States and the European Union, left no doubt that Uhuru and Ruto's status as ICC suspects meant they were not fit candidates for the highest office in the land.
We, as the United States, do not have a candidate nor a choice in this election process. But as I just said, choices have consequences.
But this situation only seemed to spur on the alliance of Uhuru, who was then the leader of the National Alliance Party TNA, and Ruto was the leader of the United Republican Party URP. So, is it possible that instead of being a disabler, the ICC cases actually cemented the TNA-URP alliance?
This was a marriage born out of a common fate. You remove ICC from the picture, and there is no way Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto would have ended up together.
The glue that brought URP and TNA together was the glue of ICC.
There was already a built-in relationship between Ruto and Uhuru, and that is not just a relationship that started yesterday. Remember, these were men who were together in 2002.
Personally, I think that the marriage of the Jubilee partners was all about The Hague.
Unless you just landed in Kenya from Pluto or Mars. But if you've been here and you witnessed the last elections, then the Uhuru-Ruto marriage was sealed in The Hague.
In fact, the best thing to confirm that is when they won the elections, Ruto revealed that he had saved in his phone Uhuru's numbers, FP, for future president. So that shows, first of all, that there was a close relationship.
They were beholden to each other through a common tragedy, the tragedy of the ICC, which was then a very major sticking point that Kenyans were even wondering whether it was going to be possible for them to be elected, and if they were going to be elected, whether they would manage the business of government because of that ICC predicament.
The ICC is the glue, the ties that bound the two. And I believe the ties that still bind